Hey guys, today we show another project I've been working on, and this video is for Benjamin, who owns this really nice Korg Mono poly. Just going to go over it for you, Benjamin, sure everything's functioning, and for anybody that wants to watch and is curious what the Mono poly is, feel free to watch. I always enjoy you guys watching. But anyways, this one here, I didn't really do a full restoration on it. It was pretty much just take care of the problems it had and then do a calibration, just make sure everything still functions correctly. And so that's what I did to this one. And it had, this main primary issue was it had seized rotary switches. It had 3 of them to be exact, and it had one seized 10K pot. And these were all seized solid. I mean, I could not get them to break free. And unfortunately, you cannot get the same Alps part for these because these are 4-position, not 3-position. 3-position is like what you found in the Poly 6. These are 4 positions for the waveforms and the octaves. And of course, I had to do the best I could with what I could get. So I did a lot of research on different rotary switches, and I found one that comes fairly close. I did have to do a little modifications to it to make it fit in here. But here's your old ones. First of all, you can see the old ones, and what happens is they seize up right here in this sleeve. This is actually where the bushing basically is, and they're just solid. I actually tried to break them free, and you can see I actually broke the top off that, but you can see that white corrosion in there. And not sure what caused it in this case. I've seen it before with rats, when mice and rats getting these things. I had a MS-20 that happened to, and I had to do a lot of work there on that one as well. But I actually could get these back when I did that one. So what I use this one right here. This is what I chose, and it's got a very similar layout. It's got a little different pin spacing as far as the actual contact point here in the center. And so I had to reclock these a little bit as well because they're a little different layout as far as where the positions are. So I had to reclock, and then had to add I soldered lead wire onto these, so actually it's still got hard wire. It fits on the board, and I can actually adjust it, and I had to clock it differently so they don't set exactly in the same position these set, but they work great. The shafts are a little longer as well, and you can see I actually took a rotary tool and ground down this a little bit just to take off this long post. And so I got it as close as I could to looking factory. You can see the knob set just a little higher on those particular rotary switches, but not very drastic at all. I mean, you'd have to kind of look at it to see they stick up a little higher. The volume pot I actually stole out of a Poly 6 I have as a donor unit, as well as the knob caps. So it was missing the actual caps or the knobs. So I stole these off of a donor unit I have here, and so was able to put the knobs back on it for you. But anyways, that's the primary stuff I did. The rest of it was just calibration, trying to figure out the manual. These things do not have a real good manual. And just for anybody that might be curious on these things too, hope this will help some of y'all out. I've actually added to the procedure on how to calibrate the offset of your VCOs. Because this right here kind of leaves you hanging, when you get to this pitch adjust stretch tuning. It kind of leaves you hanging here. It don't really tell you what to do. It just says check Calib 398 lead wire connection points with DVM and confirm that each VC offset is plus negative 0.1 millivolts, and adjust Calib 398 VR if necessary. Well, what's your reference? So what I did is I actually did some studying on this and tried some different tuning methods. And so what I ended up doing is I ended up labeling what, in this case, now this unit, I don't know if it's been tampered with, but the wiring color is a bit different. So VCO1 is not red, it's pink, and it's VR2 that adjusts your VCO1. VCO2 is VR1 white wire, VCO3 is actually violet wire with VR3, and VCO4 is green wire with VR4. So that would be the colorations. And then what I found that worked the best is you actually set the transpose switch to down, which would be this switch right here, transpose down like that. And then you'd take your, you'd hit the high C note, and then you'd take your readings off these wires on the board. And this is actually the KLM354 board that you'd be looking at these wires at. And then hit the high C note, adjust KLM398 for 1.000 volts. And that's what I did. I've got a 5-digit meter, so I'm able to actually calibrate these things very, very accurately. So that's what I did there. That was really the throw off for the oscillators. The filter I still don't quite understand. It don't quite make sense, even in the manual, on how to make it track the keyboard. So it doesn't track the keyboard correctly, but it sounds great. It's got a good resonance. And of course this is all SSM based shields. So you have to be kind of careful with with what you do, especially if you don't have these chips in stock like me. I don't want to burn these things up by doing something, so I'm real careful with these Japanese synthesizers on that side of it. But anyways, I'll just kind of walk you through it here, let you see it. I did clean the interface up for you while I had it all apart, and it cleaned up pretty well here. You can see some fingerprints where I've been playing it here, just testing. But this is the unit. Let me put the camera on the tripod here, and I'll just kind of show you how this thing works. Let me get this set up here. I bumped my stand. Give me just a second here. There we go. Okay, so this is all 4 oscillators. You got your footages of each oscillator. So anyways, you can hear how great that oscillator tuning is now in all the ranges and footages. You've also got your transpose switch, which actually allows you to transpose the keyboard up an octave or down an octave. See how great that sounds. Oscillators are working fantastic. We'll go through each oscillator. I'll turn each oscillator down, just kind of like I do on the mini Moog. We'll go through each of these oscillators. So you've heard all the oscillators together. Here's oscillator 1 by itself. You got your footage. Waveform, you actually got a triangular wave sawtooth. And you got PWM, which is controlled over here, as well as just a pulse width. So that's your pulse width, and our pulse width modulation. You just got pulse width, which won't actually modulate. You can go all the way to 0% duty cycle, which is where you actually don't hear the oscillator. There's about a 50% duty cycle, which would be a square wave. And of course your volume knob, nice and clean. So there's oscillator 1, oscillator 2. So there's oscillator 2, and we got oscillator 3. So there's oscillator 3, here's oscillator 4. And there's all 4 oscillators there that you can hear in the footages, and then we'll bring them all back up. And then that's all in unison mode. We've actually got poly mode, which actually will separate these out and allow you to play 4 notes. Actually, this one's got the Modi Poly modification in it, so you can actually do some different things. I think if you hit unison and then, yeah, this will actually cycle through the voices. Actually, so I can cycle through these oscillators. You can see the light had actually just follow a pattern. Cool sound of synth. But then you got the unison mode again. Then you got just poly mode, which is actually it's not going to be in unison at any time. When you're in unison share, they're still all lit up. When you go to poly, it's just going to be one oscillator at a time. I think you're just having 4 Vcos, but it shares one filter, so this is not like a voiced architecture synthesizer. It's just keyer circuit for the oscillators, and then the filter is shared by all Vcos. So there's not independent VCFs or envelope generators per oscillator set like you'd have in a voice architectured synthesizer. But I can show you the filter real quick. We'll actually go here and we'll put some key tracking on that. Turn the key tracking off. Then it's just the filter's just sitting there at one frequency. We can turn the oscillators down just so you can hear that. That's just the filter. Then we got our envelope. So we can actually go negative. We'll go positive first. So I'll just show you the envelope works. We'll turn the envelope all the way to push it to click. That's your decay time. Turn down frequency, just hearing that filter. That's your decay time. Goes way down there. We got the attack. way up there in frequency and then drops out. And then we got the sustain time. This determines how far down that decay goes. As you can hear, and we got the release time. So if we can do it fast enough. As you can hear, that's off. So I'm going to set that, there we go. So that's your envelope for the filter. You got the positive and then you got the negative, which should be inverted. There it is. Just kind of brings it. And you got 0. So that's your filter and your envelope generator for the filter, and then we got the actual VCA envelope. We're going to turn the oscillators back up. Same thing here. You just get a click. Your decay time. You got a. So it's a fairly long decay time, and then we've also got the attack time. As you can hear, got a really long attack. Sustain works. Same thing here, it sets to the level of the decay. How far down that decay goes. And of course, we've also got trigger modes. You got single trigger, which means it will not re-trigger. As you can see, if we go multi-trigger. See how that works. So back to single. You don't get a reset of your trigger. So that's your envelope generators. Of course, you've heard the release, but the release actually what gives me that sustain time. And so those are your envelopes, your filter, and then we've got a few other things here. We got the frequency mod or the effects where you can actually. Turn these back up. Actually, here we go. So that's S and X. So you got your mod amount. That's actually your LFO 1 into the oscillators. And then you got your X mod. got your X mod. You can get some pretty crazy stuff out of this. So you can use the LFO, or you can use the Vca Envelope Generator. And you got an oscillator sync. As you can hear, it's a pretty exciting sync. Same thing, we're using the Vca Envelope Generator, or we can use the oscillator, the LFO1. As you can hear, that works very cool. It's a really nice feature right there. And then of course we've got, go back to normal here. So you can actually turn this on and off by this effect switch. Of course I put everything back in square. Your pitch bend works. And another thing it had issues with too, because the Poly mod requires you to set your calibration for this through a MIDI data, and so this was actually offset through the MIDI data for pitch wheel. So whenever you go to pitch, it actually offset the tuning. As you can see now. We got basically a VCF. We'll close this VCF up so you can hear the pitch wheel works with this. So there's your VCF. You got pitch. Put that back up. And then you got VCO1. So that's your bend control, and you've also got your LFO modulation. You got modulation there. You got modulation for your oscillators, modulation for your pitch. Then you got also VCO1 slave, so you can actually just modulate VCO1. So really cool, really nice features there as far as your options. Of course, you can control that wheel amount. And something else you heard earlier, but I'll show you. The LFO1 has its own wave shape, so you can actually change the wave shape of this LFO source. So if we go here, so you can actually control what waveform you'd want to modulate with. So this is I think the color is Mg2, and then this is Mg2 Modulation Generator. I believe is what Mg stands for there. Mg2 is usually selected for pulse width, or you can actually select what you want to use for your pulse width control. I forgot to bring that up a while ago. I'm still kind of new to these things as well. But you can select what you want to use for your pulse width as well, for controlling the pulse width. So we can actually go, just for example here, we'll set pulse width PWM here for oscillator 1. So we're on Mg2 right now, Mg1. Or we can use the Vca Envelope. As you can hear. So I just want to bring that up real quick, show you that works. The next thing we have is the actual arpeggiator. Go here, turn this on. We'll go. We'll just go on right now. We'll go 1 octave. That's up and down. You got down. You've got up. So that's 1 octave. We got 2 octave. Then we got full octave. Latch. So you can see your arpeggiator works. And that's pretty much the synth. It's a cool synth. You've also got a detune mode, which I'll show you this. You got tuning for each oscillator independently, so you can actually offset the tuning a little bit to make it thicker, or you can grab this detune knob, and we'll actually go to pulse width on these. We can detune this and get a really nice actually portamento as well. Real long portamento time. And camera timed out, guys. But anyways, that's it with just a little pulse width modulation. we'll go back here. I'll also show you that the chord memory works, and that's kind of like how you can do some power chord stuff. So if we play a chord, how that works. That's your power chord mode. And then we just got, once again, Unison mode, which is going to be all the oscillators together. Unison share, which is where they'll only be on, but you can still play 4 notes. And it'll separate them out as you play different notes. And then you got just poly mode, which is actually just going to be where it's going to have one oscillator until you... But anyways, that's the unit, and I just want to go for you, Benjamin, show you it's fully functional. And for you guys that might have been interested in it, want to share it with you guys, just another project. This is probably the second monopoly I've ever worked on. Worked on one back in probably like 2014, 2013, back when I was still living in Florida. So it's been a while since I've touched one of these. But anyways, thanks again, Benjamin, and there'll be more to come here very soon, guys. Take care.